Hello everyone, Soberoni of GNA Reviews here with another event guide. This time we'll be taking a look at the upcoming Valentine's Day event, which should be dropping in FGO NA very soon. As is the usual case, this is going to be a very in-depth look at this event, covering everything from the new servants and craft essences to the most efficient farming strategies. So I've included timestamps in the description down below, so you can jump ahead to whichever part of the video you need the most. Also, I should mention that in order to participate in this event, all you need to do is clear Fuyuki, which is the first chapter of the game, so the event is open to newer players. Now, if you're excited to learn what's in store for this event, please do make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring my bell so that you can catch all my videos as they go up, and also help out the channel. Now, without further ado, let's take a look at the new event servant. There's only going to be one new servant coming with this event, and that's going to be the gacha servant Murasaki. Murasaki is a 5-star caster with a max attack of 11,374 and the max HP of 12,833. She has an AoE Arts Noble Phantasm that deals additional damage to demonic enemies and nullifies enemy buffs. She is a very strong arts farmer that also has some good utility and support skills. Aside from Murasaki, there's also going to be raid-ups for all the other non-limited female 5-star servants, as well as Semiramis. Unfortunately though, aside from Murasaki and Semiramis, all of the other female 5-star servants are going to be part of a shared raid-up, which means that your chances of pulling them are going to be much lower. As per usual with these events, we are going to be getting a bunch of new craft essences and command codes. Starting off with the gacha craft essences first, we have the 3-star Memory of Quelia, which generates 1 crit star per turn and increases NP gain rate and crit damage by 3%. In addition, for this event, it is going to increase the paper drops by 1 or 2 if you max limit break it. This can be an okay budget craft essence for more crit and NP oriented servants like Ku Prototype, Caesar, and Billy the Kid. For the 4-star craft essence, we have Valkyrie Style. This craft essence increases NP charge by 3% per turn, and it also increases NP damage by 15%. For this event, it'll also increase the amount of ink drops by 1 or 2 if you max limit break it. Outside of the event, it can also work pretty well on any kind of NP spamming servants like Valkyries or Ryoma. And finally, the last gacha craft essence is the 5-star Bittersweet. This CE grants self-invincibility for 2 hits, and it increases NP damage by 25%. For the duration of the event, it will also increase the brush drops by 1 or 2 if you max limit break it. This is a very strong craft essence on Berserkers, and it can work as an alternative to the K-Nif craft essence. So you can use it on servants like Ibaraki, Jolter, and MHX Alter. We also have a 5-star craft essence that's going to be available to everyone for purchase in the event shop, and that's going to be the 5-star Beautiful Dreamer. This craft essence increases Buster Card effectiveness and NP gain by 8%. It also starts you off with a 30% NP charge in the start of the battle. For the duration of the event, it will also increase the point drops by 30%. This is a great craft essence for any kind of NP spam buster servants like Gilgamesh, Rama, or Ruler Quetzalcoatl. Taking a look at the command codes for this event, we have the 3-star Pigeon Report. This command code removes 1 critical damage up buff from an enemy whenever you hit it with the engraved card, and if successful, it also debuffs the same enemy with a crit rate down by 10% for 3 turns. This is a highly specific and very niche command code. However, it can work on some debuff support servants like Martha, Caster Shuten, and regular Shuten. Next up, we have the 4-star command code Star Eradicating Wicked Holy Sword. This command code increases crit damage by 25% on the engraved card when it's being used to target any Saber class enemies. Naturally, this is going to be an ideal command code for archers as well as the MHX servants because they have a huge bonus against Saber enemies. I would also recommend putting this on the Buster card for the maximum damage effect. And finally, we have the 5-star Bride of the White Rose. This command code recovers all allies' HP by 200 whenever you attack with the engraved card. A pretty good command code for healers like Nero Bride, Tamamo, and Irisveal. Every event has an event shop, and this Valentine's event is no different. There's going to be 3 different currencies you can use for trading in items in the shop, those being the paper, the ink, and the brushes. You can trade in paper to buy 1 copy of the Beautiful Dreamer craft essence, as well as stingers, spinal fluid, bullets, 3-star and 4-star foes, and 3-star and 4-star experience. The ink will trade in for another copy of the 5-star event craft essence, as well as scarabs, black grease, medals, casters, assassin and berserker pieces, and 4-star foes. And finally, you can trade in your brushes for 2 copies of the event craft essence, as well as mirrors, lanugos, forbidden pages, caster, assassin and berserker monuments, and 4-star foes. At the end of the event, you can also trade in the lock-on and surprise chocolate that you collect for 100,000 QP each. If you're hoping to clear out the entire event shop, you're going to require 3,600 brushes, 3,200 inkwells, and 3,550 papers. It's also important to note that there's only 4 copies of the event craft essence in the shop, so if you do want to max limit break it, you will have to get lucky with a drop from a free quest. Now that we've covered all of the new stuff coming with the event and the event shop, let's talk a bit about the structure of the event itself. Very similar to Apocrypha and Summer 3, this event is going to be a point ladder system. For those of you who are not familiar with how point ladders work, points are going to drop every time you complete a free quest, and you get rewards for reaching certain point milestones on the ladder. The maximum amount of points that you need to clear the ladder is going to be 3 million. After that, any additional points you get won't yield any rewards. If you're curious about what rewards you can get from the point ladder, you'll be able to obtain all 3 of the command codes that I mentioned earlier, as well as silver, bronze, and gold apples, 2 crystal lores, magatamas, forbidden chains, reactor cores, stakes, seashells, mana prisms, summoning tickets, 4-star foes, and 5-star experience. The point ladder is also going to be the main way you receive the lock-on and surprise chocolate, and that's going to be the other major aspect of this event. There are 2 types of chocolate, the lock-on chocolate and the surprise chocolate. The surprise chocolate will give you a random Valentine scene with one of your servants, while the lock-on chocolate lets you choose which servant you want to receive the Valentines from. In total, you can get 15 lock-on chocolates and 222 surprise chocolates from completing the entire point ladder. It's also important to note that these Valentine's cutscenes this year will be voiced, so this is going to be one of the few times that we'll actually get full-on voice acting in FGO. All Valentine scenes are going to be voiced, including ones from older servants. However, if you want to see those scenes, then you either need to burn any of your old Valentine's chocolate, or you have to use it as experience fodder for other craft essences. That way you can re-earn it from this event, which will then trigger the new voiced cutscene. For example, I still have Abby's chocolate from last year's Valentine's event, so if I want to see her new voiced cutscene, which I do, then I'm going to need to burn her old Valentine's craft essence or use it as experience so that I can get it again through this event using the surprise or lock-on chocolates. When it comes to the event story, there really isn't much to it. Just like with the Christmas event, these story quests are going to be time-locked, with new quests opening every day. This means that you won't be able to rush through the event, as it takes about a week before all of the story quests become available. The event is intended to be accessible to new players, so you don't need to worry about difficulty. In fact, it's pretty easy, and if you're good enough to beat Septum or Okeanos, then this event won't pose any obstacles. There are going to be a lot of assassin and caster enemies though, so I highly recommend bringing a strong offensive caster like Medea or Sieg, and a strong rider like Ushi or Medusa. The story is also going to reward a Grail at the end, so it is very much worth completing. The main focus of this event is going to be farming for points and shop currency, and there's going to be a few ways to go about that. First and foremost, Murasaki herself is going to have a bonus for this event. She's going to do an additional 100% damage to all enemies, and she's also going to receive 50% extra bond points. So keep that in mind when farming. You can always bring a support Murasaki to help things along. Aside from Murasaki though, you can also use the gacha craft essences to help you with farming. The 3-star craft essence is going to increase the paper drops, the 4-star Valkyrie style is going to increase the ink drops, and the 5-star Bittersweet is going to increase the brush drops. So make sure you have the appropriate craft essence equipped when farming those materials. As for farming points, the 5-star Shopcraft Essence is going to increase your point drops by 30%. Additionally, all of the Valentine's Craft Essences that the servants give you will increase your point drops by 10%. The general strategy for farming this event is going to be to get as many of the 3-star Craft Essences from the Friend Point Gacha as possible. Once you do that, just start farming the free quest until you're able to afford all of the shop CEs ASAP. You want to get as many of the beautiful Dreamer craft essences as you can because they make point farming infinitely easier. Generally speaking, it's best not to max limit break these Shopcraft Essence, because having 3 or more copies of it is going to give you more of a bonus than max limit breaking it does. So keep them separate unless you're able to get 6 or 7 copies. To farm the various event currencies, you're going to need to farm the repeatable free quests, but just like with the story quests, not all of the free quests are going to be available right away. More free quests will unlock daily as you progress through the story, and the later quests are going to have better drop rates. So it's best to wait a bit for all of the free quests to unlock before you start going crazy farming with apples. As for which free quests are going to be the best places to farm for each material, paper is going to be best farmed at the Accursed Archives beginner stage, which also happens to drop Forbidden Pages and Aurora Steel. Later on, once the better free quests unlock, you're going to want to farm paper at the Accursed Archives new book stage, which also drops Forbidden Pages and Aurora Steel. Ink is going to be best farmed at the intermediate stage, where it also drops bullets and magatamas, and later on the best farming spot is going to be the old book stage, which drops magatamas and Forbidden Pages. Brushes are going to be best farmed at the advanced free quest, which is also going to drop Soundless Bells, Forbidden Pages, and Hero's Proof. And once the best free quest unlocks, you're going to want to farm brushes at the unusual book free quest, which also drops Soundless Bells, Giant Rings, and Spirit Roots. Finally, if all you want is to farm points, they're going to be best farmed at the Forbidden Book stage, which also drops Mirrors, Stakes, and Aurora Steel. And finally, the last thing to consider about this event is going to be the challenge quest at the end. The challenge quest is going to be extremely difficult, and you need to complete all of the event story as well as Solomon in order to unlock it. So this won't be accessible to the newer players. For the challenge quest, you're going to be up against Murasaki and 2 books. There is a lot going on in this fight and it can get very complicated. But to summarize it, basically this is how the battle mechanics for this challenge quest are going to work. One of the book enemies is going to be the Diary of Murasaki. When this enemy is alive, it's going to passively heal Murasaki for 15,000 HP every turn. And if it manages to live for 4 turns, then it's going to inflict a 3-turn stun on your whole team and then kill itself. When it dies, either by your attacks or its own effect, the Diary of Murasaki will grant Murasaki Ignore Invincibility as well as an attack buff for 1 turn. It'll also debuff your team's crit star drop rate for a turn. The other book is going to be the Tale of Genji. While this enemy is on the field, it's going to grant Murasaki resistance to all forms of damage. If it lives for 4 turns, it's going to apply buff block to a random member of your party for 3 turns and then kill itself. When it dies, either by your own attack or its own effect, it'll increase Murasaki's NP charge by 3. It'll also apply a 1-turn charm to all female members of your party. Finally, Murasaki herself has access to all of the skills that she normally does as a servant. So she can NP seal you, increase her NP charge, increase her buff removal resistance, deal additional damage against demonic enemies, and her Noble Phantasm can buff block your entire party. After you break her first break bar, she's also going to gain a permanent HP recovery up. In addition to all of that, when the Diary of Murasaki dies, Murasaki will revive it, and then it will revive the Tale of Genji. So even if the books die, Murasaki has a way of bringing them back alive. This fight is more of a puzzle than a traditional battle. There are a few ways to go about it, but here are some tips. Firstly, do not keep the books alive, because you won't be able to deal any real damage to Murasaki as long as they're around. You want to bring an AoE servant who can kill them both. Thankfully, they do have very low HP and are easy to kill. It's also important to note that you can exploit their on-death effects. The charm that the Tale of Genji inflicts doesn't occur right away, it occurs at the end of the turn. So if you have a Noble Phantasm chain with female servants, and then kill Tale of Genji first, they will still be able to get their Noble Phantasms off that turn. Also, the buffs that the books grant Murasaki on death are removable. So one easy way to exploit this is to, for example, kill both books with an AoE Noble Phantasm, and then have a servant that has buff removal on their NP, like Media or Amakusa, Noble Phantasm right afterwards. That will take away Murasaki's Ignored Invincibility, that way you can survive her NP. Another big tip you can use for exploiting this fight is that Murasaki is not immune to stuns and charms. So if you're able to kill both of the books, you can then potentially stun lock Murasaki so that she can't resummon them. I recommend bringing a single target rider who can output big burst damage. That way you can kill Murasaki quickly in the small window of time that you have to deal damage. Kintoki Rider is ideal for this battle, as is Ozymandias since he can make use of his NP seal to great effect. You can also use high damage female DPS riders like Ushi and Maid Alter. Just be aware that they will be charmed after you kill the books. Likewise, you should bring servants that can remove buffs. So servants like a Makusa, Media, or Ibaraki. Servants with strong charms or stuns like Alexander, Waver, or Jean are also good to have. And of course, you want to bring an AoE servant that can take out the books like Medusa or Rider Ishtar. And that's about all there is to this event. Remember, not all of the quests are going to be available right away. It takes about 7 days for everything to unlock. For the beginning of the event, focus on getting these Shopcraft Essences ASAP, but don't max limit break them unless you're lucky enough to get 6 or 7 of them. And once the best farming nodes unlock, you can then focus more on farming for shop currencies and points. Also, if you have older servants that you want to see the voiced Valentine scenes of, make sure that you burn their old Valentine's craft essences or use them as EXP fodder so that you can unlock the new scenes. And if this video helped you, please do make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you can catch all my videos as they go up. If you haven't already, do join the party over on our Discord, follow us on Twitch, and follow us on Twitter, all linked in the description down below. And until next time, this is Soberoni, signing out. Later.